last Battleborn character preview for a little bit at least, because currently they only have 10 on their website, and I'm waiting for them to update that. They have announced and shown another 4, but those 4 do not have character profile pages yet. So we are doing Thorn. Seems odd that she's the last one on the list here as I went in order, 'cause she's kind of the first one shown. And a lot of hype around her, and I'm pretty excited for her. The Eldred Elf Archer, Teshka Elessamorn, nicknamed Thorn for her short temper, was the last aelfrin child of her homeworld before it was darkened by the Varelsi. Thorn ranges from jungle wilds to Ekkunar and beyond with her bow Kreshek and her battle skills with the advanced Eldrid magic. Yeah, so she is the archer, which seems pretty cool and exciting. There's been a kind of small groups of people at least saying like Borderlands should introduce bows. And one of my favorite all-time first-person shooters was back on the N64, the Turok Hunter games. So bringing back to play an archer in this has me excited. I think she kind of plays a little sniperish with her archer. You know, it's kind of high damage, low fire rate. Oddly enough, since she's pulling a bow from her quiver each time, she doesn't even have a reload. Well, unless, I guess, maybe it's a reload every shot, you could say. But, yeah, I'm pretty excited about her. And we will just get into it here. So, Kreshek, if I'm saying that right, Thorn's devastating Ekkunar longbow can be augmented to increase damage, range, and accuracy, ready to hold an arrow to charge it. So I think I've seen that where the longer you draw back an arrow, the more damage it's going to do. So you can kind of pop some off quick, or you can go for that big hit shot, which is, an interesting way to play it as well. So I think that will be enjoyable. Then you have Eldrid Vitality. Thorn carries no shield, relying on instead rapid health regeneration to survive in combat. And, as a Maya player who enjoyed just having a lot of health regen skills rather than having like moxie guns and stuff to survive, I kind of like that. You can take some damage, but you just kind of got to keep moving and let your health come back. Next, you have Volley. Fires a horizontal swath with 5 arrows, each dealing 42 to 56 damage. Volley arrows ricochet off world terrain. So that's kind of cool. It'll be nice for groups of enemies, but like on those single enemies, at least the smaller ones, like we saw with a lot of things like the pitchfork and the Varuk and anything with kind of a spread, you'd often miss a lot, and sometimes you're better off with a single shot. So we'll see how this works on single enemies, but there are a lot of times where there are tightly packed enemies, and if they miss, we'll see how that works with bouncing off world terrain. Do they seek out an enemy, or do you kind of have to aim that kind of like your trick shot Jacob's pistols and such? Next, we have Blight. Summons a field of corruption for 6 seconds. Enemies caught within this field take 32 to 42 damage every 0.5 seconds. So that's a decent amount of dot as it stands right now. 64 to 84 damage a second. That's a legit dot, and the AoE size is pretty good on this. Wrath of the Wild. After a brief charging period, hurls a massive energy bomb that explodes for up to 525 to 750 damage and knocks enemies backward. Yeah, seems legit. The damage is there like everyone else's. I mean, we should see consistent damage because this is PvP. And then you have the knockback as well, so then you can pick them off with your bow after you're done with that. And last we have her passive ability, Nature's Judgment. Enemies hit with a charged arrow are cursed for 8 seconds. Skills and charged arrows deal 35% additional damage to cursed targets. So here's another reason to charge your bow. 8 seconds is a decent duration, and you can do a lot more damage to them. Skills and charged arrows. So yeah, you'd have to recharge an arrow to get that 35, but charged arrows are going to do a lot of damage. So I also like this. As anybody who's watched a lot of my videos know that on sniper-like characters, and I consider her a sniper even though she's got a bow. It's not a sniper rifle, but I think it's going to be sniper gameplay style. And with using things like the Pimpernel, I don't mind shooting slower if I'm shooting for bigger damage. So, charging an arrow to place a really powerful shot and then follow it up with a 35% more powerful shot is something that seems pretty good to me. But also, Blight will absolutely wreck with Nature's Judgment. Because if you hit them with a charged arrow and then cast Blight on them, that's a good amount of damage. So I'm liking her combos here. Now we'll go down her Helix tree and see how that changes. Enemies damaged by Blight are slowed for a short time. I think this is going to be massively huge. She is going to be a squishy character, and she's also very fast. So if you can slow down enemies and you are quick, that's going to really increase your survival, and it's going to make it easy to pick them off with your arrows. Piercing Volley. Volley arrows can go through multiple targets. Now that makes that volley sound really awesome. And this is really kind of torn because I think that slowdown is going to be incredibly important. But man, adding a board to your volley of arrows also seems like you can just absolutely wreck. And this is probably going to go like PvP versus your PvE. On a lot of those PvE things where you have just, as we've seen the demos already, waves and waves of enemies. The volley seems like it might be a better choice, but in PvE, slowing down your enemies so you can snipe them with your arrows, that also sounds better. So next we have Tier 2, Cursed Earth. When Thorn is touching Blight's field, all of her arrows become cursed. That also sounds incredibly sweet, because we've already read what cursed arrows do. And I wonder if that works with volley. That would be nice. So you could almost just put Blight down, stand in it, not even putting Blight at enemies, and then just volley away. Hit a volley and follow that up with a bunch of arrows. Or just pop a lot of quick arrow shots out and then hit a volley. Yeah, a lot of different ways to do that. So either way, I really think Cursed Earth looks pretty sweet. Fell Wind. Thorn receives a short speed burst when touching Blight's field, 30%. I like movement augments in a lot of these people, but she's already really fast, and honestly, Cursed Earth just sounds a lot better. Draw Strength. Arrows penetrate multiple targets. Hell fucking yes. I absolutely want that. Or Burst Propulsion. In addition to dealing damage, Thorn's melee attack now propels her backwards, can be used once every 2 seconds. See, that sounds good too. Again, she's kind of squishy, and a lot of enemies we've seen kind of charge you and get close. So if you can use that melee attack, push yourself backwards, and then pop an arrow in their face, seems pretty decent. But man, draw strength sounds awesome though. Kreshek's Judgment. Volley arrows can curse targets on hit. That is, now the volley's starting to sound pretty awesome. Between the ability to add penetration to it and curse targets with it, yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. Knockout. Volley shoots 2 additional arrows in a wider arc. I think I'd take the curse over that, honestly. But in some of those, there are going to be some plays where I think knockout will be better. They described one scenario, a PvP one, where instead of protecting a tower, there's kind of a death pit in the middle, and all your minions are marching to that death pit trying to fall in. And the more minions to fall in, that team wins. So you want more of your minions to die than the other team. So knockout on a thing like that, just absolutely obliterating the minions, especially with like penetration and 7 arrows on a volley. That sounds pretty awesome. Hextension increases the curse duration on enemies plus 4 seconds. Once again, yes, please. 12 seconds is quite a long time to deal 35% more damage to targets. I wouldn't be surprised if the curse duration falls down, or not the duration, but the damage goes down to like 20% or something. 35 seems really high in this game compared to other numbers we've seen like this. If you can make that go for 12 seconds, yeah, that seems pretty damn good. God, I don't even know if I can say that. Hexanguination, maybe? Curse status deals additional bleed damage to afflicted enemies, 12 damage per second. That sounds alright and all, but 4 seconds sounds a little bit better. Of course, they are cursed for 8 seconds. So that's quite a bit of damage there. What, 96 damage? That's not bad. Especially when you can add curse to volley. So maybe that is pretty solid. Tier 6, Brutal Blight. Blight's area of effect damage is increased, plus 15% damage. That's pretty good, because that Blight damage, it looks low there, 32 to 42 damage every half second. But when you multiply that out, it's actually good damage. So yeah, Brutal Blight definitely sounds good. Swift Volley. Volley's cooldown time is reduced 20%. Just volley naked, that doesn't sound that great. But with all the buffs we've already seen to volley, that does sound pretty awesome. So once again, 2 really good choices. Eagle Eye increases the accuracy of Thor's standard arrow attack plus 50% accuracy. Yeah, it depends what the accuracy already is on it. Do you need that buff or not? But that could be very good. Or increases the height of Thorn's jump. I kind of like Thorn being able to get to places where people can't get to her very easily. Getting that elevated terrain and really taking guys down. So this will probably be map by map. Enduring Blight increases Blight's effective duration plus 6 seconds. I definitely like that, especially when you can stand in Blight and make all your shots cursed. Having Blight out for 12 seconds with that sounds pretty awesome, but also just the damage from Blight over 6 seconds is pretty good. You make that over 12 and add the slow to it. There's a lot of different ways you can play Blight, and I quite like that. Blight can be summoned at greater distance, 100% casting range. Since she is kind of a sniper and squishy, you might not want her in the front line. So this could also be really good, but it depends how you're using Blight. If you're going to be using Blight a lot to make your own arrows cursed, that wouldn't be as important as the duration. But if you're throwing it out, trying to really dot those enemies and slow them down so you can snipe them with your arrow, then the distance might be better. So once again, I like these choices because it's not like this is better than that. It's situationally this is better than that, or this is better than that with other skills that I'm picking. A lot of these are not just black and white. It's very gray. Archer's Boon. When volley deals health damage to an enemy, a portion of Thorn's health is restored, so 30% lifesteal. That sounds pretty freaking good. I wish it was regular arrows, not just volley, but with that, I'd probably go with the volley cooldown. Because she is kind of squishy, and there hasn't been really many survival skills, this is a tier where I really am leaning towards the boon. The rage is increasing the volley's arrow damage plus 15%, but this is, like I said, her only really survival skill we've seen, so it'd be hard to pass that up. Then you go down to her final tier, Wild Judgment. Wrath of the Wild's energy bomb bounces through the world up to 5 times, detonating with each bounce. That sounds awesome. Because this thing does a lot of damage, and it doesn't say it does less damage on each bounce. So, yeah. But like with rubberized grenades, as we saw in Borderlands, sometimes that isn't that reliable to actually land those bounces on enemies. Or Earthrender, Wrath of the Wild leaves a blight field behind after detonation. The Wild Judgment sounds better on paper, but with the damage that Wrath of the Wild does, there's a good chance anything living by it will be destroyed by Blight, where the Wild Judgment, it might be hard to actually use that to hit enemies. And this might go again, PvP versus PvE. When you have those waves of enemies coming after you, I could see Wrath of the Wild Wild Judgment being much better. Just bounce it through them and let it tear everything down. But Earthrender could definitely be better on PvP, especially with that slowdown effect and some of that other stuff of Blight. So, yeah, all in all, I think she's really interesting. The I guess the disappointment with her, if I have any, is I don't think the Wrath of the Wild seems all that interesting. I mean, it seems good and all, but I don't know. I guess I haven't seen it in action that much in videos yet. It just doesn't necessarily match up with the arrow slinging and stuff as much as it could. And if it's effective, and it's cool. But I really love her Helix tree. She's one of the characters I'm most excited to get my hands on and play. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about her, and I hope you are too, because I think just archers are fun in PvP or first-person shooters. So once again, thanks for watching. If you guys have not subscribed yet, please do so. And also, go check out Mental Mars's blog. I've been linking it to in my videos. He kind of gave me permission to use his images and stuff, and not just because of that. He's a regular on the forums, one of the premier guys really going out about Battleborn stuff, and he's got his blog set up, and he's kind of, I don't know if breaking news necessarily is right, but he's kind of got first dibs on a lot of stuff, it seems, and he's got really good speculation that's been pretty accurate. A ton of good details on there, and a really great site. So you guys should definitely check that out. A lot of good wallpapers and other stuff. And like I said, as soon as news hits, he's all over breaking it down, looking through it, doing a tremendous job with the first few videos. Really slowing them down, looking at each frame, catching things other people are missing. So yeah, Mental Mars, and I'll have links to him, so check his stuff out as well. So once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.